right, everybody. I'm Larry Roberts.
And I'm Sarah Losi, and this is Branded, your comprehensive guide to creative branding.
And on this very insightful episode of the podcast, we have an amazing guest with us. And I love the fact that James has joined us today because literally just yesterday, I was on a call with a website / SEO expert that I had met at a networking event. And I was telling him, I was like, man, I'm just not getting a lot of traction from an SEO perspective. And he goes, well, hey, man, let me check your site out. So he goes to my site, and no sooner does the page load, and he goes, oh, well, right there's your issue. And I'm like, well, oh, that kind of sucks. I mean, it was that obvious. So I think we're going to get a lot of value out of this conversation. And ideally, we're going to identify some very common mistakes and help you miss those common mistakes with your website. So, James, welcome to the show.
Hey, I'm really happy to be here. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Websites is a passion. It's got a backstory on why it's passion, and I think we can have a lot of fun and hopefully share some useful information that your audience can gain an understanding of some of the pitfalls and a way to think about this that applies to any business of any size. But
I was going to say, let's get into it, because I know when we were looking at your website and the things you talk about, there's a bunch of things that really caught our interest. And one of them is the mistakes. So we'll definitely get into that. But you also have a way to grab people's attention on your website in like 6 seconds, I think it was.
Yes, 6 ways to engage website visitors in 6 seconds or less.
Yes. Can we dig into a few of those? Because I know in my mind, I'm already redoing my website based on everything you're about to say.
Well, and it's great. And the 6 seconds thing comes from, you've probably heard about the myth that a goldfish has an attention span of 6 seconds.
And so does a human.
And honestly, as a business owner, you should be so lucky. That's why it's 6 ways to engage a website visitor in 6 seconds or less.
Yeah, I know in Hook Point, they say it's 3.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, there are a few things. And the funny thing about this is the 6 seconds doesn't start when the page has loaded.
Oh.
The 6 seconds starts when the page is asked for. So page load speed is the first of the 6 ways.
Okay.
And page load speed is also a trust event. When your website loads quickly and instantly is there, that leaves a very positive impression in people's mind, which builds trust. When they have to wait and it's there and is it coming? What's going on? Suddenly they're thinking about stuff that you don't want them thinking about. And then when it eventually gets there, they're already on the wrong foot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, even if I go to a website today and it doesn't load like instantly, first I wonder if my ISP is down again because I have a very unreliable internet service. But then I wonder, oh my God, do they even have a legit site?
Yeah. Are they still in business? Because little bit of a tangent here, but one of the questions I often ask a small business owner is, what's the primary objective of your website? And they'll give me a litany of things, and then we'll have a little discussion around the definition of the word primary. There can only be one.
And I know 3 came to my head, so I already lost.
Well, and eventually they'll usually get around to conversion, right? Which is the knee jerk, everybody will nod their head going, it's almost always wrong. Conversion is clearly part of it. Mm-hmm. But remember, your audience is on their journey. And when they get to your website, they're not ready to convert. When they get to their website, they're there to find out if you understand their problem and do you have a solution that makes sense to them. So truly, in the majority of situations, the primary objective of the website is not conversion, it's confirmation. So, and that brings us to the second way of the 6 ways. If they're getting to your website, they've probably heard about you somehow, either through social media or through a networking event or word of mouth, and they're going to your website to confirm that you, in fact, are a legitimate candidate for solving the problem that they have. If they're searching for your name, make sure your name is prominently displayed on the website. Don't put up an obscure logo that with an obscure business name that nobody's heard of. I'm sorry if you spent a bunch of money with a designer to get this all done, but make sure that you're consistent. Make sure you're consistent about the ways you use colors, that the colors you use in social media are the same colors you have on the website, that the fonts you use in social media are the same. These are all subtle things, but they all confirm, because what you're trying to do is instantly in the visitor's mind, am I in the right place?
Now, okay, this is interesting because Larry wasn't that the name thing, what the SEO guy said?
It's really interesting, Jays, because what Sarah's pointing out yesterday when I was talking to the SEO gentleman, he went to my website, opened up the very first page, and when he said, that's the problem right there, that's why you're not ranking, or it's one of the many, I'm sure, that he saw right out of the gate. But my landing page, when you go to LarryRoberts.com, the very first landing page is my name, Larry Roberts. Mm-hmm. And he said that was the problem because no one's searching for Larry Roberts. And I countered that by going, well, yeah, some people are. And that's the whole goal, because for my particular company, I am the brand. Now, Granted, if you go Google Larry Roberts, I'm still way down in the rankings because, I mean, there's like a Nobel Peace Prize winning scientist. I think there was an actor. A common name. Yeah, there's all these dudes that are just crushing it and always will. And I mean, literally, when I got the URL, I had to wait for the original owner of the domain to pass away. Yeah. So, and then had to negotiate with his estate and blah, blah, blah. But
be honest, did you kill him?
I did not. I didn't want it that bad. So no, I did not. But that's exactly what he said. He goes, nobody's looking for Larry Roberts. And for one, I knew he didn't know who. You don't know who you're talking to, bruh. But no, I'm just kidding. Not really.
He has no idea who you think you are.
Well, that's an interesting side note, because I tell you, for most small business owners, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, folks that are getting up into six figures, be aware of SEO principles, be aware of how SEO works, but do not make SEO your primary strategy. Mm-hmm. It's a long, difficult challenge that takes a lot of time, and domain authority is an absolutely key part of SEO. And that's all a function about how other people are seeing your website, the backlinks you've got, the traffic that you're getting to the website, etc. SEO is difficult and challenging. So Larry, you're much better off focusing on Larry Roberts, because that's how people are finding you. And when they get to your website, they're going to go, yes, that's what I'm looking for. I am in the right place. And that's another trust event.
Yeah, I see that. Sure.
If suddenly they're at their website and they're thinking about, am I in the right place? Who is this person? What is this thing that I see here? This doesn't fit with what I was expecting. You've got them thinking about the wrong things. You want instantaneous recognition. I am in the right place, so that they can move on in their journey.
If not the name, because Larry was told not to, though you said yes, it also shouldn't really be the business name. Am I right that it should be a very cohesive statement of what you do?
Yes, it should be a cohesive statement of what you do, but it should be, how are you talking about yourself in the marketplace? Like when I'm in networking events, I am very focused on my branding, and it's an easy thing to remember. And when people get to that, they are very consistent about how I present that in all of the different places that we're in. So people know when they get to our website, they're going, yes, this is what I was looking for, because they've seen it before.
I think I've seen it before. Now that I see your logo, I mean, as soon as you logged on and then we started talking, I'm like, I know that logo innately. I've seen that somewhere. I don't know exactly where or when, but it looks very familiar to me.
Right. And so There's a downside to going with a name. Sorry, Larry. That
Okay.
doesn't. That doesn't. It's hard to if you ever have a plan to sell your business. Selling a business that's built around an individual's name is difficult unless you're have really actively built out your infrastructure so that it is a viable business without you being involved.
And that's so interesting you say that, because I've been having some high level conversations with people going, my issue right now is I've become a bottleneck in my business, because the company is Red Hat Media. And I think I do pretty good branding that everywhere I go, from, ice shakers to pullovers to everything around in my office here. But people don't really know that. And because with me being the bottleneck, people want to work with the Red Hat guy. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I'm experiencing right now. They want to work with me. They don't care to work with the company, Red Hat. They want to work with the Red Hat guy. So you make a very, very valid point that I'm actually experiencing right now during this season of growth.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And there's no right answers to this. I mean, you've got to be comfortable with it. And but the bigger point is to be consistent, because your visitor to your website is on their journey, and you need to be consistent with their expectations. And when you do that, then your page is loaded quickly, and they've instantly, yes, I'm in the right place. Then they can move on to the third thing, which is give them a benefit-oriented reason to stay. Benefit-oriented is a challenge for a lot of smaller businesses, entrepreneurs, inexperienced marketers. Don't tell them what you do. Tell them about the problem they have. Because again, they're on their journey. They're there to confirm that you understand their problem. There's a copywriting framework that's quite famous and popular. It's called PASS. And that's an acronym for problem, agitate the problem, solve the problem. And you'll see it being used in ads. You'll see it being used online. It's also very effective in website copy. You lead with the problem that your best customer has. You may agitate that problem, agitate in the sense of, and it's really impacting how your business is growing, or it's impacting how you're thinking about it. There's various ways to agitate. And then you present a solution. If you do that, if you lead with a benefit-oriented reason to stay, they will stay, because they'll go, yeah, this person gets me. If you meet somebody for the first time and instantaneously all they do is talk about themselves, how keen are you in that conversation?
Not very.
Not very. Exactly.
I had a response and it came out, but I was muted, so it didn't work out very well. But you make a valid point there, James. Thank you.
It's his first time. He's new at this.
Yeah, I was just bragging about, oh, this is my 10,000th rodeo, so I think we'll be fine. And then I mute myself. So, anyways, I'll remute myself and let you continue, James.
If I tell you what like the headline on my website says, can you like judge it like 1 out of 10? Okay. So my company's Favorite Daughter Media, and mine
Who's your audience?
I feel attacked by this question. People, any like entrepreneurs and business owners who want to do something positive in the world, but want to do it through creative media. I'm working on it.
You really need to be honed in on who your audience is. And remember, in marketing, it's as important to repel the wrong people as it is to attract the right people.
The sad thing is, like, my background actually is marketing, and this is stuff I tell other people, but I just don't do it for myself because it takes too much thinking.
It's the struggle is real.
Yes.
I can empathize it. Absolutely.
Well, other people pay me to say it to them, but I'm not paying myself, so I'm gonna ignore me. So my headline is brand storytelling that makes an impact.
Okay. That's a little inside out. That's a little bit focused on, that's what you do.
Yeah.
What's the problem that you're solving?
Lack of
So if
connection.
the headline was something to the effect of, and I'm not trying to write copy off the cuff here, but
Feel free.
make an impact in the noisy digital world.
Okay.
That's a problem. You know, are make an impact in a noisy digital world. Are you struggling to be heard? Now I've agitated the problem. You know, use storytelling to set yourself apart.
Interesting. So I just updated it to this, and it used to be something else, and now I feel like the old one you would have liked better because it was creating connections, not just content.
Right? That is a benefit. That is a better headline than what you've got currently.
Never
But
second guess yourself.
I would still lead with more clearly with the problem. One of the fundamentals of website UX is don't make them think.
Yep.
Instantaneously grab them by the collar and yes, this is for you. You know, you don't have to be cute, you don't have to be clever, you just have to be real.
Well, unfortunately, I am super cute and clever, and I can't help it.
Okay, James, my turn.
We'll send you an invoice after this.
Okay, yeah. Or you could send us an invoice, actually. So
yeah,
okay.
that.
All right, here we go, James. Unleash your brand's potential. Shaping the future of brand storytelling through innovative podcasting, branding, and AI solutions.
Yeah, that's getting there.
It's like, well, no, it sucks, but I don't want to crush your hopes and dreams, so it's getting there.
It's fine. They were crushed yesterday. Just keep piling on.
But this is important because a lot of times people overthink this.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, it's particularly if you have a business that's established to some degree and you have clients. This is a shocking thing, but ask them.
Yeah.
Why are you here? Why are we doing this together? What were you struggling with before you found me? Get them to tell you their story and then present on your website, use real consumer language.
Yeah, that's an interesting point because we do tend to over copy or write copy in a way that doesn't sound like people talk. It's like using ChatGPT. Pretty obvious that a lot of this AI generated content is AI generated because it sounds so verbose. And
let's delve into a deep dive on this.
Yeah, deep dive into this journey that we're going to
delve into it with us.
Yeah.
With M dashes everywhere.
Okay, first of all, I put M dashes everywhere. That is not an AI thing.
Nobody really uses M dashes ever. Nobody does. No, they don't. Yep. James, do you ever use an M dash?
And using colons and headlines.
That is very AI, but I will die on the hill of M dashes. They are my favorite punctuation. I don't care what anyone says.
Oh my gosh.
This is interesting though, because we had a conversation on the show earlier. I think it was it Sunny Dublick that was talking about when she works with a client for her marketing firm, the first thing she does is say, let me talk to your customers. And people are always shocked. And what the customer says that they like about the company or why they're working with the company is never what the actual business says their customers want.
Absolutely. And it's such a simple thing to do. And just don't try to be clever or cute. Just speak to real people in a real way, and you will engage with them. Just like in a real one-on-one conversation like we're having today.
Yeah. Yeah. You know? Where did we end off? We're
talking about benefit-oriented reason to stay.
Yes.
And the next piece of this is a bit controversial.
Oh, here we go.
And I know you guys love a little bit of controversy.
We got this.
One of the things I'll tell people is stop saying call to action.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, it
No,
always gets
clarification question. Stop saying the words call to action on the website.
No, stop. Just take it out of your vocabulary altogether.
Oh, this is interesting. I mean, that's what being
Say more.
that we launch we launch branded podcasts for brands, businesses, and organizations, and that's one of the things that we say all the time. You have to have a CTA. What is your call to action?
It's like when I say this, people do exactly what you guys are doing. They're like, "Wait, what?"
Say more.
This is this is crazy talk. Let me explain.
Please.
Call to action is a marketer shouting at customers, telling them what to do. People don't want to be shouted at. They don't want to be told what to do. Your customer is on their journey. So rather than creating calls to action on your website, what you want to be doing is you want to be creating pathways. Make their pathway clear. Where should they go next? And why should they go there? How does it support their journey? Now, effectively, a call to action and a pathway are exactly the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the mindset shift is really important, because when you start thinking about it in terms of I'm creating pathways, you're thinking about it in terms of how I'm supporting my buyer's journey. And when you do that, when they pick that pathway, two very powerful things have happened. They've told you exactly who they are, and they've given you permission to give them more information. When I audit websites, the most common problem that I see is not copy and design, although that's often a disaster too.
Tell us how you really feel.
The most common problem I see is an absence of strategy.
Yeah.
It's all very pretty. Sometimes they've spent a boatload of money with a designer to get something that doesn't function.
That's interesting, because the more we talk, and it's really, again, after the conversation yesterday, my mind was already spinning here. So having this conversation is just really, it's interesting to see how things line up. But if you look at my website, I think it's fairly pretty. I think I did a pretty good job from a design perspective, but it's really just factual. Go to this page, here's some facts. Go to this page, here's some facts. Go to this page, here's some facts. There's not really any pathways or any overall strategy to the site, except the strategy is really, jump on my calendar and let's have a conversation about whatever page of facts you've landed on. But beyond that, that's about it.
Most businesses, 80% of their revenue is coming from 20% of their customers, Pareto's principle. Now, the specific numbers are probably going to be different, but that concept is valid. Inside of that 20%, there might be 2, max 3 subsegments. If you create a pathway, a people like you kind of call out for those 2 or 3 subsegments, you're going to be attracting and giving support to your best customers. Because if they're already representing, if that kind of person is representing 80% of your revenue, you want more of them. So call out to them, make it clear that you've got something special for them. They pick the pathway, they click the button, they go to a landing page, they've told you who they are. So now you can present your services, your offer, whatever it is you're doing in a way that's very germane to who they are, and they will pay attention because they've elected to be there. And your ultimate conversion event might very well be set up a schedule. But now you've got individual forms on each one of these landing pages. So when somebody sets up that schedule, you already have information about who they are and what they're looking for, as opposed to a generic contact us form where you have no idea.
Sure.
Right? Does this make sense? This is why I'm saying that pathway and call to action are effectively the same thing, but the mindset shift is really important.
Yeah, it's absolutely critical, and it can be very difficult to understand the need for that mindset shift because traditionally we just come up going, hey, if we present our services, we're going to answer the questions that they're asking and they're going to buy. I mean, that's just what we inherently think. Not that it's in any stretch of the imagination correct. But when you start thinking about reframing the value of whatever those services are and presenting it in a way that solves a problem, that answers their question without them having to dig, I can see where that opens up these pathways for engagement, for for them to purchase your services, whatever it may be.
Right. And
so
you've got
it
them
definitely makes
for
sense.
6 seconds. You've given them a reason to stay.
Yeah.
They're engaged. They're leaning forward. They're paying attention.
It catches them, and they're
information.
like,
You're not asking them to sort through. You've regurgitated everything you do on a homepage and asked the consumer, well, you can sort through all this and figure out what's for you and what's not. You've done the work, and people will appreciate that. When I was back in the day, my background is big brands and big budgets and all that good stuff. And I was working with a long distance telecommunications carrier, and loyalty was a huge problem. People were switching from AT&T to MCI to Sprint and all around. And we commissioned a research study. I don't remember any of the details from the research study, but I remember one sentence that the researcher who specializes in loyalty research, one of the things he said in the preamble, he said, in his experience, 90% of loyalty problems can be traced to a flawed sales process. And that one sentence is the sort of one of the underpinning principles that have influenced how I think about these things, why I make statements like stop saying call to action, because call to action is a marketer shouting at a customer and telling them what to do. A pathway is supporting the journey that your customer is on and giving them the next step that they need to take to get the information that they are looking for. Which would you prefer?
Pathways.
Right?
Not getting yelled at.
So, and that brings me to the next thing, and I've talked about this a couple of times already. Trust. Inspire trust. I want everybody who's listening to think about their website, and they probably have testimonials on their website because they've been told that you need to have testimonials on your website.
Okay, don't attack my testimonials.
And where are those testimonials? Usually at the bottom of the page in a carousel. Okay? Waste of digital space. You need to get a powerful, just one, you just need one, because the purpose of that testimonial is to provide reason to believe, to inspire trust, get it high up in the page, make it loud and proud, position it prominently, sprinkle your testimonials all throughout your website. If somebody has selected a pathway and gone to a landing page that's been tailored for them, feature a testimonial on that landing page from somebody just like them. A whole bunch of testimonials jammed into a carousel at the bottom of the homepage is not helping you.
You're giving me so much homework.
Well, Sarah,
I don't mean to ruin your day. I really apologize for that.
No, you're doing great, because Sarah and I just spoke this morning, and I was like, I think I need to set some time aside this weekend and dig into the old website a little bit, do some homework. So I appreciate what you're doing here. Granted, you're adding some line items, but it's perfectly fine, because I want to take full advantage of the opportunity that I invest this weekend in making these improvements.
Now,
and trust is such an important thing. Page load speed inspires trust. Are you in the right place inspires trust. Being relevant to them by leading with a benefit-oriented reason to stay inspires trust. Now, pay it off. That could be a little bar with brand logos of companies you've worked with.
Mm-hmm.
I have a client who's a high-end coach and consultant, and he works with C-suites. And he has the Apple logo on his website. Do you know how hard it is to get the Apple logo on your website legally?
I mean, it's really easy. You just download it off Google Images and then hit upload. I mean, it's not that hard.
I do a lot of business through my iPhone, so I feel like I qualify.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
No?
He said no.
Is that not how it works?
He is the executive coach who supports the C-suite at Apple. And if you see that logo at the top of the web page, do you think instantaneously, oh, this is credible?
Oh, of course.
I think my thought is like, oh, this is going to be expensive.
Well,
so logos work, testimonials work.
I love how, James, you didn't even touch that expensive comment. You're just like, yeah, it's going to be expensive. Moving on.
Yeah. No one that's working with Apple is in my budget.
Inspire trust is the next thing you want to do, and it needs to be conscious, and it needs to be active, and it needs to inform and be infused throughout the site, not buried at the bottom of the homepage in a carousel.
Makes sense.
The final thing, make the content easy to consume. Recognize that people skim. Use the visual hierarchy. Your H1 tag needs to be bigger than your H2. Your H3 needs to support the H2. Most people are right-handed. They scan a web page from the upper left-hand corner to the lower right-hand corner. Don't put your button in the lower left-hand corner of the hero section. It's the least eye-tracked spot on a page, and yet I see it all the time. Pictures on the right, words are on the left. No. Put the picture on the right, on the left, and put the words on the right so that the button is sitting right down at the lower right-hand corner, which is where people instinctively scan.
Oh, man, that's a good one.
Okay? And when you're picking pictures, remember, and this is the challenge with stock photography, stock photographers frame their pictures so that they're easy to sell. So you'll see lots of things in the center. You'll see lots of models looking out. But if you go to a professionally designed website, particularly an e-commerce website where they've been able to pay for photo shoots, you'll find that the model is not looking out.
They're looking at the
model is looking over. They're looking over at the headline. They're looking over at the product description. People will look where the model in the photograph is looking.
I've also seen that with people are pointing and they're like the person in the picture is pointing directly at the like buy now button.
Exactly.
Yep.
It seems a little cheesy.
Oh no, I do it too.
But it works. And yet people don't do it all the time. They've got this beautiful headshot of themselves smiling beautifully, and it's lovely. And they're staring right out at the person, and the person is engaged into their eyes because they're looking right at them. And you know what they're not doing? They're not reading your headline.
Yeah, but my profile, I've got this little turkey neck thing going, and I don't really like my profile picture.
Photoshop.
There you go.
Just remember to take the.
You read my mind.
I had a client that set up one of the worst websites I've ever seen, and it was to sell a book. And they made every possible mistake you can make, I think. I don't think the website ever went out. And when I gave them a list of like, here's simple changes, they responded with, we're not currently accepting feedback, which I thought was what they're paying me for. But they had a picture of a person and easily could have flipped it to be looking at the button, instead was looking towards the like outside of the screen, which you're never supposed to do. All of the text was in capitals, which you're never supposed to do. It's harder to read. You can't skim it as much as you can regular letters.
Well,
and
another really common mistake is long line lengths. How many times have you been to a web page and they've got lines of body copy that are running all the way across the screen?
Literally from edge to edge.
Yep.
Literally from edge to edge.
Yeah, it drives me insane. I'm like, come on, man.
Newspapers are printed in narrow columns for a reason. Narrow columns are easier to read. Use images to make sure your images relate and support the words. Pictures tell, copy sells. So don't let the images get in the way of what you're trying to do with the words.
Before, when you said you're going to say something controversial, I thought you're going to bring up a different controversial topic. So I want to ask you, why do you tell people they do not need a website? Okay, that's a great question. And this happens oftentimes. People will call me up and they'll, when websites is what we do. And I'm like, yeah, no, not yet. There's so many
inexpensive and free ways to create a presence online. And the most important thing you can do first is sell something to someone. You don't need a website to do that. You need a list. Job one is build your list. And with a lot of your email service providers, like we're a MailChimp agency, so that's the one I'm going to talk about. And we do MailChimp not because they're particularly better than everybody else, just that all my staff are trained in MailChimp, so it's easier, just makes it more efficient. MailChimp offers a free landing page as part of their free subscription. Buy a domain, redirect that domain to that landing page, put some nice copy on the landing page, ask people for their email address.
Okay, but that's still, it's a mini website.
It is a mini website, but it's not thousands of dollars spent on a website for something that you don't really know what it is you're trying to sell.
See, you said it would be controversial that you just said not to have a website, and I thought I was going to highly disagree with you. But it's more of like a budgetary thing. Don't invest in it until you're ready, but still have, okay. Nope, we're on the same page. We are on the same page. I support this. I endorse this message.
Yeah.
I love how Sarah's always looking for a scrap. She's like, oh, I'm ready. Come on, let's fight.
Well, because we always tell people that you can't rely on things like social media. You have to have your own website and your own list, which is still true. And the website is how you get people onto your list. You're just doing it in a little mini form, and that's fine. Size doesn't matter.
And then maybe the next step might be you go to one of the services like Card, for example, which offers a very inexpensive way to create a one-page website. So you want to gradually add technology to your proposition as you get clarity on what your proposition is. What I really have a challenge with is people who come to me and want to spend, a boatload of money. I'd love to take their money, but it's just not ethical. Because they don't know what it is. They don't know who their audience is. They don't really understand what their product is. They're still trying to figure out a lot of these things, which is fine. Everybody goes through it. But focus on that, not creating a website.
So basically, you're saying that you wouldn't take Sarah on as a client simply because she couldn't define her audience 20 minutes ago.
Well, I think in a quick conversation, we'd have our audience sorted out pretty quickly.
I think you would too, in all honesty. Yeah. I just have to take that dig. Yeah.
But it's interesting though what you say, because so we work in the podcast space, obviously we're on a podcast, and I think his name is Brendan, created podpage.com, which is a very simple, you put in the RSS feed of your podcast and it builds you a website for your podcast. And it's very inexpensive. It's like $15-20 a month. But I heard him speak at a conference, and he even said, this is your starter site. I don't want you to stay on Podpage forever. I want you to graduate into a WordPress or into a real website when you get to that point. So it's really interesting because you're saying the same thing.
I'm saying the same thing.
Yeah. And he's even telling people, don't use my product forever.
Yep. I'm saying the same thing. And even there are only 2 digital assets that you own. And you brought this up a second ago. Everything else is rented land. Mm-hmm. And those 2 digital assets are your list and your website.
Mm-hmm.
Start with the list. Most of the email service providers have a free entry point, MailerLite, MailChimp, etc. It's very simple. It's very rudimentary, but it will get you started.
Yeah.
If you're feeling a little bit geeky, even Google and Gmail has a thing called Mail Merge, where you can add a script to a Google Sheet, and it will call up a draft email in your Gmail account based on the subject line and send out personalized emails from your Gmail account.
Did not know that.
I do this for a lot of times when I'm just trying to reach out to like a sub-segment of customers. It's faster and easier to do it that way than it is to go into MailChimp and do a segmentation and blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'll just whip up a quick list of people in Google Sheets and create a draft of an email and merge them together, and off it goes.
Now, I want to ask you a controversial question. And this is kind of a deep cut because I think we talked about this on like episode 1 or something. And since we're talking about lists, if someone gives me their business card, they hand me a business card, I put them on my mailing list.
Mm-hmm.
Larry, for some reason, thought that was not a good thing to do. Where are you on this?
I'm going to answer it for him, and then he can confirm or deny. He's already used the word ethical once in this
It's
conversation.
not unethical. They handed it to me saying, like, you have permission to contact me.
But not put me on your email list. Those are two entirely different questions. So, James, please.
I'm with Larry on this one. They have given you permission to contact you. And that's where the Google Sheets and the Google Script can come in handy. But you want your list, you want it to be of high quality. And you get a high quality list by inviting people and having them take action. You can absolutely invite them in your first email to them, like, we're publishing content about this and that, and et cetera. And, we would really value it if you would give us permission to put you on our list. And if they respond back and saying, yeah, man, that would be awesome, then you're at the next step and you can put them on your list. List quality is really important. You want to keep your list quality high. You want to clean your list. I would much rather be dealing with somebody with a list of 2,000 or 3,000 people and an open rate of 40 to 50% than somebody with a 10,000 person list and an open rate of 5%.
100%. And I love the way that you laid that out, James, because basically what you didn't even really offer a call to action by accepting the business card. You really created a pathway to guide this new relationship to join your email list. So you see what I did there with my callbacks?
Yeah.
Edit this whole part out. I don't like the answer. I'm still putting business cards on my mailing list. They can unsubscribe if they want to.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Does it, James? Does it really make sense? Oh my gosh, man! Hey, I gotta tell you, James, I love the conversation. You provided a ton of value here, a ton of insight into building a website and some of the things that it's really easy to overlook. But before we wrap it up, I love for people. I mean, you've got it here on the image for those audio only listeners. Tell us how people could reach out to you and take advantage of the opportunity or the pathway that you've created and work with you.
Well, if you go to 6secondsorless.com, you can get some time on my calendar, get 30 minutes on my calendar, and we'll do a quick audit of your website using the 6 ways to engage in 6 seconds or less.
Love it.
It won't be a super in-depth conversation, and it might be a surprising conversation because you typically spend more than half the conversation not talking about the website at all, but talking about who is your audience. And do you really understand the journey that they are on? Because that strategic foundation is really what sets an effective website apart from something that's just pretty.
Nice. James, I can't thank you enough. Again, very, very insightful. So appreciate you, having you here today. This was good.
It was my pleasure. I enjoyed the conversation. I think we had a lot of fun.
I had a lot of fun. Sarah, did you have fun?
At first.
Well, folks,
now
if you're listening, I'm trying to create a pathway here, guys. Can I have a line?
No.
Hey, folks, if you're listening or watching and you want to continue to take in these amazing episodes with Sarah, myself, and our amazing guests, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button so we can continue to bring you these episodes each and every week. And with that...
But to be clear, we're not telling you to do it.
And with
we're
that...
giving you the opportunity to.
And with that... Anybody else? Anybody going once? With that, I'm Larry Roberts.
And I'm Sarah Lucy, and we'll talk to you next week.